David's voice did not just make a loud sound in the quiet war room. It broke the heavy silence into many pieces. He picked up a beautiful crystal decanter and threw it hard against the stone wall. The glass shattered loudly, and the sharp sound matched his strong demand. His best guards stood very still. None of them wanted to look into the Alpha King's angry red eyes. "I gave a clear order to lock down the whole city," he said loudly. "How can one woman just disappear like that?" "Sire," replied Marcus, his lead tracker. Dark blood was slowly coming from a fresh cut above his eye. "She did not just disappear. She made herself completely gone. Every camera picture, every money record, every check at the border, all of them are gone now." David grabbed Marcus by the tactical collar and lifted the bigger man right off his feet. He had chosen the crown and a political bride only a few hours earlier. He had thought Lisa would stay waiting quietly in the background. He was very wrong about that. "Tear the whole kingdom apart," David ordered. "Find her. Now. Now." The crystal chandeliers in the grand ballroom sent broken and heavy light over the big celebration. 1,000 glasses of fine old champagne made happy clinking sounds together. This was the sound of many rich and important people showing their approval. But the noise hurt David's sharp senses. He stood at the very top of the wide marble staircase. He was the clear and strong ruler of the land. His broad shoulders were covered in a special midnight blue suit that felt tight and uncomfortable like a straitjacket. Right beside him stood Victoria, the daughter of the Northern Syndicate. Her arm was linked tightly through his. She was a smart political alliance, a necessary shield against the coming border wars. But she was not Lisa. David's jaw was tight as he looked over the big sea of faces below him. He made himself smile, but it was a practiced and empty smile that did not reach his eyes. His gaze moved across the dignitaries, the council members, and the people who only wanted to please him. He was searching for that one familiar and quiet presence. Lisa always stood by the western pillar during these big events. She liked the shadows. Her sharp eyes watched carefully for any threats. Just being close to her helped keep David's strong and sometimes wild temper calm and steady. But the space by the western pillar was empty now. At first, David told himself that she was simply doing her important security job from the edges of the room. He thought she was staying away from the big show of his political betrothal. He had expected her to feel hurt by his choice. He had prepared himself for her quiet and strong way of acting. He had even thought about the words he would say to her later in private. "It is just a title, Lisa. It changes nothing between us. I still need you." But as the minutes slowly turned into a full hour, a cold and sharp feeling of dread started to grow inside his stomach. The soft and special scent of vanilla and fresh ozone that always followed Lisa was completely missing from the large room. "You seem tense and worried," Victoria said quietly. Her lips brushed his shoulder in a show for the cameras. "Smile, David. You just made the largest and strongest alliance this kingdom has seen in a very long time." "Excuse me," David muttered. He pulled his arm away from hers with a quick and strong movement. Many nobles blinked in surprise at how fast he did it. He did not wait for her to say anything back. He walked down the stairs with strong, determined steps like a hunter. The crowd moved out of his way quickly. He walked past his security team and did not even look at Marcus's questioning face. He pushed through the heavy oak doors that led to the quiet administrative part of the big estate. The happy music from the ballroom became soft and far away. Lisa's office was at the end of the long corridor. The door was locked tight. David did not look for a key. He lifted his boot and kicked the wood hard near the handle. The lock broke with a loud crack, and the door flew open and hit the wall. The room inside was completely dark. Silence filled every corner of the space. The office was very clean and tidy. Too clean. The 2 computer monitors on her mahogany desk were turned off. The corkboard that was usually full of tactical maps and important intelligence reports was now completely empty. David crossed the room in just 3 big steps. He pulled open the desk drawers one by one. They were all empty. There was not a single pen left. There was not a single secret drive. Even the small, dried lavender sprig she always kept in the corner was gone. A strong feeling of panic, new and raw, grabbed at his throat. He took out his encrypted phone and quickly pressed her speed dial number. "The number you have reached is no longer in service." "No," David breathed. The single word sounded painful and harsh in the empty room. He pressed the intercom button on her desk. It connected straight to the perimeter guard station. "Gate 4, report now." There was a short hiss of static before a voice answered. "Gate 4 is holding steady, sire." "Did Lisa pass through your checkpoint tonight?" "No, sire. We have not seen her since the morning briefing." David's chest felt very tight. He turned around slowly and looked desperately around the room for any note, any small clue, anything at all. That was when he saw it. On the clean surface of her desk, sitting perfectly in the center, was one single object. It was a heavy silver king chess piece. David reached out. His hand shook a little as his fingers touched the cool metal. 5 years ago, when they had first taken this territory together, she had given him this exact chess piece. "You play the board, David," she had told him with fierce and loyal eyes. "I will protect the king." She had left the piece behind. That meant she was no longer protecting the king. The realization hit him like a hard physical blow. It took the air right out of his lungs. He had believed he was making a necessary sacrifice for the kingdom by choosing Victoria. He had not realized that the real cost of wearing the crown was losing the only woman who made the whole kingdom worth ruling. She had not made a big angry scene. She had not screamed or demanded that he change his mind. She had simply walked away quietly. The rain started falling hard shortly after midnight. It was a heavy downpour that turned the city streets into wet, slippery black rivers. David drove his strong, reinforced SUV by himself. The engine roared loudly, matching the storm he felt inside his chest. He had left his own engagement gala behind. He left a surprised Victoria and many shocked council members there. He did not care about any of that. The political problems could wait until tomorrow. Tonight, the only thing that mattered was the big empty space that Lisa had left in his life. He stopped the car outside a plain brick apartment building on the edge of the financial district. This was her private safe place. It was completely off the official records and known only to him and a very few trusted people. 2 black tactical vehicles were already waiting in the alley. When David stepped out into the freezing rain, Marcus came running over with an umbrella. David pushed the umbrella away immediately. "Give me the report," David demanded. His voice cut through the loud sound of the rain. Marcus looked pale under the orange streetlights. "Sire, it is like a ghost town inside." David pushed past him and ran up the stairs 2 at a time. The door to apartment 4B was hanging open. The frame was broken from the forced entry. He stepped inside. Water dripped from his nice suit onto the hardwood floor. He had expected to see chaos or signs of a fast and emotional packing, but he found nothing like that. The apartment smelled strongly of industrial bleach and ozone. It completely covered the warm vanilla scent he loved so much. The living room was perfectly arranged and neat. The bookshelves were empty. The kitchen counters were wiped completely clean. David walked slowly into the bedroom. His heavy boots made loud echoes on the bare walls. The bed was made with perfect military neatness. He opened the closet doors. Empty hangers made a hollow, mocking sound when they touched each other. "She did not just throw things into a bag," David whispered. He ran his hand along the bare wooden shelf. "This kind of cleaning takes real time and care." Marcus, who had followed him quietly, nodded with a serious face. "The forensics team checked everything. There are no fingerprints anywhere. She wiped every surface. Even the drains and the sink and shower were cleaned with chemicals to remove any DNA." David turned around slowly and stared at his second-in-command. "You are telling me that while I was busy making treaties and planning a wedding, she was carefully erasing her entire life right under my nose. It appears so, sire. Marcus paused and swallowed hard. Her bank accounts, the offshore ones and the companies she managed, are still completely full. She did not take even one coin of our money. She only took what belonged to her before we took control of the territory. That detail hurt David even more deeply. If she had taken money, he could have understood it as simple revenge. But leaving everything showed she wanted a completely clean break, with no excuse for him to chase her. David sat down heavily on the edge of the perfectly made bed. He dropped his head into his hands. His mind went back to the past few weeks. He remembered the late-night arguments about the Northern Alliance. He remembered how Lisa had quietly stepped back. Her eyes had become distant while he explained why the engagement to Victoria was necessary. He had been so blind and so full of his own ambition that he thought her silence meant she accepted it. "Find her," David said. His voice was low and very dangerous. "Sire," Marcus started gently. "She designed our tracking systems herself. She built the hiding methods we use against our enemies. If anyone knows how to disappear from us, it is her. It is like trying to catch a shadow in complete darkness." David stood up suddenly. The sadness in his eyes changed into a strong and scary determination. "I do not care if she disappeared into thin air. I do not care if she is on the other side of the planet. Ground all private jets. Stop all commercial flights leaving the territory. I want checkpoints on every highway, every small road, and every port." "The Council will object," Marcus warned. "Putting the whole kingdom on lockdown so soon after the peace treaty." "I am the king," David roared. The loud sound shook the window panes. "The Council breathes only because I allow it. Victoria holds my arm only because I permit it. But Lisa is mine. Execute the order now, Marcus." As Marcus hurried out to give the commands, David stood alone in the clean and empty bedroom. He noticed one floorboard near the radiator was not completely even. He knelt down and pried it up with his fingers. Inside the hidden compartment they had built together long ago was a simple, battered silver lighter. He had given it to her on the night they survived their first big assassination attempt. He gripped the lighter tightly, the metal pressed into his palm. She had not just run away. She had carefully removed herself from his life, leaving only cold metal behind. And now he would tear the whole world apart to bring her back. 3 long days passed, 72 painful hours of complete silence. The kingdom started to crack and weaken under the heavy weight of David's obsession. Trade shipments were stuck at the borders because of all the strict checkpoints. The council members were whispering about treason and instability. Victoria had gone to her family's part of the estate. Her hurt feelings were turning into cold and dangerous anger. David ignored all of it. He had moved his command center to the lower levels of the estate. He was surrounded by glowing computer monitors, half-empty glasses of whiskey, and very nervous analysts. "Talk to me," David growled. He leaned over a large digital map of the whole continent. His eyes looked bruised from lack of sleep. His jaw had 3 days of dark stubble. A young technician pointed with a shaking hand to a blinking red dot near the coastal port of Blackwater. Blackwater was a rough and lawless town 300 miles to the south. "Sire, we got a ping," she said. A burner phone was turned on for a short time 10 minutes ago. It used an encrypted signal that matches the special backdoor codes Lisa created. David's head snapped up. "Blackwater? The shipping yards?" "Yes, sire. Sector 4. A motel called the Anchor." "Prepare the strike team," David ordered. He was already reaching for his tactical holster. "Sire, wait," Marcus said carefully. "It could be a trap. Let me send a small team first. If she sees a big team coming, she will run." "I am going now." The helicopter flight took 40 minutes. They fought through heavy winds and a strong coastal storm. When they landed on the wet ground at Blackwater, the air smelled of salt and old fish. David led the six-man team himself. They moved quietly through the shadows of old shipping containers toward the flickering neon sign of the Anchor Motel. "Room 114, David said. He stood by the door. Rain ran down his face. He gave the signal. Marcus kicked the cheap door hard. It broke open easily. The team rushed inside with weapons ready. They checked every corner. Clear, clear. The room was empty. It smelled of old cigarettes and cheap cleaner, but underneath that smell was a very faint trace of vanilla. On the old nightstand sat a cheap burner phone plugged into the wall. Next to it was a small digital audio recorder. David sent his men out of the room. When he was alone, he pressed play. Static came first, and then Lisa's voice filled the small space. Her voice was calm, measured, and completely detached. "If you are listening to this, David, it means you brought the strike team yourself. You were always predictable when you got angry." Hearing her voice felt like a hard hit to his chest. He closed his eyes and leaned against the wall. "By the time you trace this ping, the cargo ship with the receiver will be far out in international waters, heading to South America." The signal was bounced. "I was never in Blackwater, David." She continued, and her tone became a little softer, showing a tiny bit of sadness. "You made your choice on that balcony when you put her ring on. You chose the throne. You chose safety. You do not get to keep me hidden in the shadows anymore. I will not be your collateral damage." "I did not want her," David whispered to the empty room. His voice cracked. "I only wanted you. Take care of the territory, David, and do not try to track the serial number on this recorder. I bought it with cash 3 months ago." The recorder clicked off. The silence after was very loud. David stared at the wall. The truth hit him hard. 3 months ago was before the council had even suggested the alliance with Victoria. Lisa had seen the danger coming. She had watched his ambition grow. She had started planning her exit while still beside him every night. He crushed the burner phone in his hand. She was brilliant and dangerous, but as he walked out into the rain, his despair turned into a dark and strong fire. He would stop acting only like a king. He would become the fighter she had once kept under control. 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks. The territory that used to run smoothly under David's rule was now struggling because of his single focus on finding Lisa. The war room had become like a tomb for him. Maps covered the walls with red strings and dead-end marks. Empty coffee cups and glasses of liquor were everywhere. He had not slept more than 2 hours at a time in 21 days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the empty space by the western pillar. He smelled the ghost of vanilla. The heavy doors opened. It was not Marcus. "Get out," David said roughly without looking up. "It is not Marcus." The voice was cold like ice. David looked up. Victoria stood there with 2 of her own guards. She wore a perfect white dress. Her hair was neat and severe. She looked like a queen waiting for power. "You are humiliating me, David," she said. "My father's supply lines are stuck because of your checkpoints. You are throwing away the alliance to chase a ghost." David moved close to her. He did not touch her, but his presence was scary. "Never speak of her again. You are only a signature on paper, a political deal. If your father wants to pull back, let him try. I will crush the Northern Syndicate." Victoria left the room scared. David realized he had to change his approach. He needed to fight like the street fighter he used to be. He went alone to the Narrows, a hidden rough district where his cameras did not reach. There he met Silas. After dealing with the guards, Silas told him that Lisa had come for a real paper identity 3 weeks earlier. She had left coordinates and a message. Victoria's father was planning a takeover, not a real alliance. Lisa had left to fight the threat from outside. David followed the coordinates to an old bunker in the cold Blackridge Mountains. He blew open the door and found the place full of proof against the enemy. Lisa had been working hard. A red laser dot appeared on his chest. "Drop the weapons, sire," Lisa said from above. They talked. She explained everything. The enemy was ready to attack that night. They held hands again. Their partnership came back strong. Then alarms sounded. Enemy soldiers arrived. A fierce fight began. David and Lisa fought side by side. They used guns, knives, and perfect teamwork. Lisa finished sending all the proof. An electromagnetic pulse blinded the enemies. David finished the fight in the dark. The war was won. They returned to the capital together. Dawn came. The war room was chaotic. Victoria was screaming. David walked in with Lisa right behind him. He ordered her arrest for treason. The Northern Syndicate was finished. The council accepted his new way of ruling. Alone with Lisa, David gave her a simple, strong ring. "I want you as my equal queen in the light, not hidden in shadows." Lisa smiled, a real smile. "I do not wear fancy dresses, and I will drive." "Deal," David said with a big, happy laugh. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe so you never miss our daily love stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. Stay tuned and keep spreading love.